hopefully that stuff will bleed through. So I don't know if I'm truly live or not. I said I was supposed to go live at 4, and it's not 4. So I guess it jumped early. Time and space. Let me see if I can get some of these doors shut. There's one. That's a little better. Still can hear the other room's noise. Here we are. There's Glenn. Glenn, can you hear me? I think I can see everything's working. You just say, yeah. I'll know everything's working properly, fine, whatever it is. Yeah, so there you go. Yeah, it took me live before it was supposed to. I just looked up and it said, you're live. And I was like, huh? Because it was supposed to kick in at 4 o'clock. But I'll take it. It means it's working and it's up. So there it is, Friday, and I'm live and in person. It's just the two of us. Isn't that an April Wine song? Just Between You and Me, I think. Yeah, it was an April Wine song. That's it. Well, we got 2 more minutes. Yeah, I don't know why it did that. That was odd. Usually it'll kick on at 4, and it was set for 4 o'clock, and I was just sitting here, and I looked down, and I looked up, and then I saw, it went on, came on. That's what it decided to do. I don't know if it sends something out or what it does. I don't know if it prompts or what it does. And there we go. And people are jumping in. People are on it. See, there we go. So welcome. So I liked the other setup. Trevor's going to have to show me that other setup because it'll tell me. I only can see who's in the chat, on the immediate moment. So I can only see that. So I would think that there's got to be another one that shows me how many people are in, but it's not on this screen. I had it before, so I have no idea. I just have who's talking and where we're at in the chat, and we'll kill a minute or two. But yeah, so welcome to September. In the first week, the mornings have been in the 60s, so it's been really nice. I am so happy for this. The mornings, I'm happy to be here now too, but it's been definitely a long week, so it's nice to be here. And right now it says 9. Okay, there you go. So some people are in, but anyways, welcome to the program, Legends Live. Another Friday, as you can tell. I kind of go look, see what Trevor has scheduled up, and then I go, oh, I'm live today, because he's been pretty dang busy. So I'm not blaming him. It's just, yeah, he's had way too much going on. But yeah, he'd leave me at least a sticky note somewhere, right? There's nothing set for Friday. It's you. But yes. But I check. And when I see there's nothing going to load at 4 o'clock, I know it's the 4 o'clock is me going live. So there we are this week. I mean, today isn't pretty nice. I don't know what the temperature is right now. It's got to be in the 90s. And I'm waiting for that, but it's partially cloudy, some clouds. Yeah, 94 degrees, so it's pretty nice. And this morning, the low was about 69. So finally out of the 1 teens. Everybody's jumping up. Wow, it's time to go hiking. It's still pretty damn hot. So, and I hope everybody enjoyed everything. The Chasing Legends on Monday, I think we have one more week of, I think this Monday, and then after that, we'll be doing a lot of the October themed stuff before the Rendezvous, like we did last year. And we have some of that already done. We're trying to get ahead on that because obviously going into the Rendezvous, there's a lot going on that week. So And we'll be preparing for the rendezvous, and then coming right out of the rendezvous, maybe we'll do something Monday. Yeah, having something pre-recorded Monday is probably a good idea. So he's at the bar. Who's at the bar? Trevor. Trevor's not at the bar. Trevor's at work. Yeah. Yeah, the mild weather is very nice. How's it going? To give the hike another. Okay, good deal. Yeah, the weather's far better now. Well, yeah, 28 there. Yeah, but yeah, it's still it's cooling off. We're finally back in the temperature range it should be. So that's nice. We're out of that extreme heat. So, of course, we're 6 weeks out from the rendezvous, November 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So kind of that's where everything's rolling up to. And we'll have to have everything planned kind of going up to that and out of it. I know we can't. Well, I did talk about it, and I even discussed it with Trevor. There's probably not much of a chance. We don't want to roll the dice on live on that Friday. So we'll probably do something and have something run, probably some kind of feed for the Friday of the rendezvous. So, and then we have to have the Monday stuff done again because we're going to be too tired and too knocked out that week. Even though we could put something together, I just don't want to make him work on it and edit and put something together for Monday while we're out there. What have you lined up so far for guest speakers? We have two. I've talked about them, Jack Sanfelice and James Simpson. 3 or 4 people. There's 50 people during the year that says, I'd be more than happy to be a guest speaker. And then I kind of take who I think is serious. I try to find something kind of spaced and planned out that would work and kind of a little diverse and that I think will be entertaining. And then they start falling off and people start disappearing. So right now there's 3 or 4 people I haven't heard from, but there's another group of people that I did hear of. The real Batman's in. I thought about using the cowl because we have a Batman cowl. And I thought about wearing that, but it's too damn hot to wear that. Batman is a much better man than me for wearing a cowl. And it's not dark. I think if you're the dark night and you're doing that stuff, you have to do it at night. You can't do it during the day. It isn't right. Anyways, so we're getting ready to roll up to the Dutch Hunter Rendezvous. All that. Jack Sanfelice's book's out. Remember that? www.jacksanfelice.com. Pushing that. He'll be the primary finish of the night guest speaker. Everything there. I did get some words in and hear from Jack Carlson, Superstition Mountain Hiking Guides author, and I heard from Jack Sanfelice. Has his new book out and will be our main end of the evening speaker on his new book. And talked to Bob Shoes. I think yesterday I talked to Shoes for quite a while. That's probably I always have a good time on the phone with Shoes. And of course I talked to Frank. So I heard from Frank and we went back and forth and stuff, but I can't even. Oh yeah. He gave me his troubles of the week. So Frank is doing fine right now, but we're just waiting for that weather to kind of mild down. Frank is not going to go out in this. I do not blame him. I have a complete understanding on that. So, but we were talking about some things we want to do. And then Shoes talked about a trip he wanted to go on. I think he wants to go out to Death Valley or Nevada. He was talking about gold prospecting. See, every day is a golden day. They will be live YouTube 2 p.m. tomorrow. What a surprise. See, there they go. I have a good amount of mesquite firewood for the camp. There you go. Where's there a good spot to deliver it ahead of time? The gate is closed. The gate is locked. Put it up by the gate. I will let a few people know. So, but yeah, if you want to, there's when you get up to the gate where there's the pedestrian kind of opening there. There's a tree off to the right. You could stack it there. If it's not that much trouble, you could just stack it inside the pedestrian walkway, just in there. I don't know. I guess if you had 2 people, you could back it up and hand it through the gate and set it down and stack it there. We'll just have to check, make sure no snakes or no critters get in it, and then we can bring it down from there. Because I don't think, unless Josh is there, and I don't think Josh will be up there anytime soon. It's still pretty warm, so, but yeah, that's probably be a safe place to put it. And then we could just move it down from the camp there. But I thank you. I was thinking the wall area, but well, that's okay. Same thing. That was exactly what we're talking now. You can do it there on the inside or outside, whatever you want to do. Unless someone happens to be there. If there's someone there, you can just say, hey, I was dropping off firewood for the rendezvous. Wayne told me to set it inside the gate, but you probably could drive down then by the big Ramada or someplace and deliver it. But we were talking about doing something or having a fire down in the amphitheater for the guest speakers nights. But we can move all that stuff around. And Woody will be there with a side-by-side, so we can move stuff using that too. Almost a pickup bed's worth. Well, there you go. There's plenty of firewood for a lot because, yeah, not only the rendezvous and the weekend for that, but then we'll have additionally coming into January, then the Dons will be out there for about 6-7 weeks off and on. The Dons will be out there camping for that period of time too. So, and there'll be some others. I know the Masons use the camp occasionally. There's some Boy Scout troops that use it. I don't know if they want a fire during a wedding, but there's weddings too. But yeah. And I might get out there because I got to go do a couple things. So if I get out there, I might move some of it down to myself. We can load up and stuff and do that. Reading Sims Ely's Lost Dutchman mine. Okay. I understand the issue library has some of the manuscripts. Do you think it's useful? Okay, the manuscripts are like, yeah, I believe Thomas Glover donated those. He had those from the Ely family, and he donated that stuff. It's interesting because the drafts show you, I don't know if they got the earliest drafts. The earliest drafts are much different than the final version. There isn't really any information differences. It's how it's written because the family and the publisher had a ghostwriter come in and clean things up, put things together. So there's a lot of change, and it's a lot of its verbiage and how it's delivered. But Ely wrote very differently personally. So it is interesting to kind of read that, map it out. But the manuscripts and all that, a lot of that material, I went through some of it and I was asking Thomas about it. And he said, it's all the same. It's just how Ely wrote one way and then someone else wrote the other and did some embellishment to it to make it a better book, make it a better read. He said it's very, Ely was very good at technical writing, but that didn't jump out and grab you. So yeah, it's always interesting because you get to see the buildup and the changes that were made to make that book. So where you see a paragraph in the book now, it might have been several pages by Ely. And so it's condensed better and all that. I have one or two of them. He was actually 1 year at the Rendezvous. He had one of the manuscripts and he talked about raffling off where during the raffle, one of the prizes would be one of the manuscripts. And I think he just decided to donate everything to the ASU, everything he had. So yeah, it's in the repository there. So it's all good. And there's a lot of letters too. There's a whole bunch of letters and stuff concerning, him, that Thomas had. So there's a lot of material that was deposited there. And it's interesting to read if you're looking. Come on, people always look for stuff to kind of start saying, well, what does this mean? But now most of it is pretty plain and simple and stuff we know. There's nothing really deep revealed in it. And it's funny like that because that's always what happens. People like to make things out of nothing. And after reading all the letters and stuff, it was pretty much the same story you thought with Bark and Ely and everything as before. So, and there's the letters were to Erwin Ruth and Jim Bark, and they talk about a number of different things. And people they were wondering why Barkley wasn't getting a hold of them well, he had a business to run, You got to remember in this time period that Ely and Bark, might have had some business interests, but they were basically retired. And Gus Barkley, Tex Barkley, was a very busy man. He was had a family and was running a business, and there's a lot of oversight to that. Is that, yeah, and you have to consider the year that Ruth went missing until they did the recovery and stuff. There was all that drama and everything going on the side. So people always like to be like, oh, it's mysterious what was going on. Man, it wasn't that mysterious. The guy had a business, and then he was breaking off doing all this other stuff. Jeff Adams, by the way, who was with Barkley on those searches, was retired. He'd been a former sheriff and deputy sheriff. So he was basically retired. So a lot of people kind of involved, people try to do too much thinking about these guys. Any idea if Glover will be at the Rendezvous again? Will Thomas be at the Rendezvous? I won't speak for him. So I would say if you had a magic 8-ball and you turned it over, I'd say chances are yes. But yeah, I can't always speak for him how he feels or what's going on exactly. I know if he has the opportunity and the chance, he always will. So good chance he probably will come down and spend the weekend with us. So I know he's doing quite well right now, and very happy. I know he was out and about with another Dutch hunter friend, a friend of ours, all of ours, and they went out and had a good time. So I know he's in pretty good spirits, getting out and about and doing well right now, which is really good to hear. So I would say expectations are, yeah, very good expectation, very good possibility. But of course, you never know when someone, health, this, that, a lot of things can interfere with that kind of thing. I know there was a couple times Clay was coming out and he completely looked forward to it and he talked to me about it. And then it was health or family or something came up. And I know a couple times it was, he was going to visit his children. And it's like, you can't hold that against the guy. How many more trips do you have to see them and things like that? So you understand those sort of things. So most of the time, everybody that's around does show up and is looking forward to it. And like I said, things can happen. So what's up, Jax? You're going to just keep playing on those blinds, right? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, good boy. So there we are. So Rendezvous coming up. Everything kind of is set and good. We're just kind of starting to work out some details. Trying to get a few things kind of honed down what we want to do. Like I said before, we talked a little about some ideas. A morning hike on Saturday and some other stuff. So in the next week or so, a lot of that stuff will get completely honed down. Exactly what we're going to do. And a lot can depend on weather, but we like to always do something that's a little different, a little bit of a challenge. And I have a few ideas. And Trevor and I talked about a few of them. It's always good to have the Rendezvous kind of fresh and then kind of let everything unfold just before and as the Rendezvous is happening. So no one has an expectation. I know we did the Miller Mines out in Bark Canyon hike before we did the Barkley Basin hike and the Soldier's Grave. We did the Quarter Circle U tours, which we always need permission and we need access there. And I haven't heard from the Bacchus family right now, and I'm sure they're getting busy and there's a lot of work going on there. We did the Dayside Mines hikes. We did the upper mine and the lower mine two different times. We did the crematory cave. We did Barks Canyon down in there in the draw. So we've done different things, and we've always kind of made it something that is workable for everybody. We want a little bit, and it's nice for people to say, sometimes you might say, well, people aren't up for the challenge. Well, I know there's people that like to hike or in pretty good physical shape, but we like to do something that's completely inclusive if we can when we do this, because it's kind of disappointing when we can't do anything. I know one of my favorite trips, and I thought about doing it this year, but it's just the time logistics to get around to First Water and then knowing if there's parking, was Garden Valley. We had a great time, and there was some younger folks went with us one time. We planned something out there, and I know I can't even name everybody was out there, but I know Jack Carlson was, I was, Greg Davis was, Randy Wright was, Peter Esposito, I think was. Yeah, Peter was out there. Um, I'm trying to go through a lot of people that were out there, but it was a really good trip because a few people brought their kids and stuff, and we had a blast. I think most all of us ended up, and I don't even know if Trevor was old enough to go at that trip because Trevor wasn't there, but we went out and we were showing them, arrowheads and spearheads and different things and explaining stuff. It was a lot of fun. So we got to kind of be in a teaching moment and kind of more in the fun than anything else, which is always good, seeing everybody having a kind of a little different kind of approach to everything at the moment. Do you believe the Dutchman can be found, and who would carry it? I don't think it is. It could be. I don't know. There's a couple different dust jackets. Um, it's whatever they were thinking of at the time. I'm trying to understand the first question there. If it can be found, and why would care of it? Who would care? Oh, who would care if it was found? Well, I mean, one of the problems is so many people find the Lost Dutchman every year. Okay, let's just say 25. Okay, a year. That's 250 people every 10 years. How many times is the newspaper going to report it, or a magazine going to do an article? So there's some people say, oh, I did this on an online magazine, or I did this, or they talk to the newspaper. I mean, I don't even think they'll bite. I think in Arizona, they won't even bite anymore because it just becomes an old standard. So let's just say over 10 years, so 10 years. So over the last 40 years, if it's it's 1,000 people who claim to have found it. People have written books. We've had people do films. I don't know if you could say Lust for Gold or Race Against Time. Robert Kesselring was We Found the Lost Dutchman, but it was about Jesuit treasure. So when you get into the bigger market of the treasures and stuff, and then it kind of is like, okay, how many times can these guys keep finding the same things? But nothing's coming forward. Nobody's like showing a pickup bed full of gold ore or treasure or gold bars. So I think anymore is like most people would be like, unless you could physically show actually something besides a picture in your phone, they would be like, oh, okay. I mean, how hard is it to take a rock hammer, right? So you have a rock hammer and you find a mine with a good vein and you break some pieces out. And it's even if you don't have them assayed or sampled, to have them in your hand physically, where you could walk up to someone and show them and set it down here and have someone say, hey, come into the Rendezvous. I have some ore. It's really good high grade ore. Would like to match it to some other ores found in the Superstitions. And you guys can take a look and tell me what I found. Nobody's killing you over it. Okay. So how hard is that? It's not very hard. Frank always shows people the gold he's brought out of the Superstitions. And again, I stand by the fact of all the people that have found the Lost Dutchman and all the people that have found treasure and everything else, the people that I see the highest value, monetary value, was Woody and Frank. And they are champion over most of everybody I've ever met. I know Ron Feldman has the Cochera ore. I don't know the exact value because it's still locked in the rock and so forth. What the estimated value of the Cochera ore is, because it's only the value of the actual gold. So I don't know what that value would be, but yeah, Frank and Woody have to have physically showing. Now I've seen stuff that Shoes has had and other people have had, but they've been from various different mines and stuff. So I don't know how we apply that, but I've seen what people have had. But yeah, if you found it, you should be able to just walk in, sit here, and say, here's 2 free samples. And even if they're just fist-size samples, here's some good fist-size samples, lots of gold. You'd be able to say, oh, okay. Be able to look at it. People could inspect it. And that's a little more relevant. And then you can say, here's a picture of where when I broke this out, you can see me breaking it out, and you can see all the gold that's in there still. And there's or this came from the dump, or this or that. I've taken ore samples to the Rendezvous and had people look them over and see what they thought. There was one I found once that I thought it came from a lode mine. They had hand cobbed a lot of the gold out of it. And I brought it because you could tell it was hand cobbed. It had been worked. So I wanted everybody's thoughts on if they thought it kind of fit. And I have it around here somewhere. I'll have to find it and we'll show it. But I thought it was interesting, so I wanted people to look at it and kind of go through what I'd found. I thought my possible story behind it is it was dropped from a pack animal or something. It had to be significant, because if it was just a person with it in their pack or something light like that, it would have just, chances of it falling on the ground or anything like it was in the open, very, very small. So I figured it was on a pack animal or something, and the pack had shifted and a couple pieces had fallen out. And that's what I found. I was smoking a cigarette, sitting on a rock, sitting there and just looking around. And then I started looking down, and there was a couple of rocks. I was looking at them and going, they don't really fit with the area. It was quartz. I believe it's some hematite, and there's some iron staining in it. And I was just looking at it and looking around like, wow, that looks different. And then I walked over, and you could see where they'd broken some pieces out of it, or the possibly gold where it had been broken out of the rock. And I was looking at it going, wow, this is really cool. And then I did a deep search, of course, very excited, looking around everywhere else for anything, and there was nothing like it. So it was like something fell out in a very small area, it hit the ground, a few little pieces. None of them are bigger than this. But I was like, that's very odd. And they are all matching pieces. And there was nothing like it. Walked all over the area. And I was actually glassing for mule deer. So I just was focused and was up there for one reason. And then I turned around, saw that. And I spent the rest of the day, in fact, looking to see if I could find any other pieces. There was nothing similar like it. So my thought in theory is it fell out of a pack animal of some sort that was crossing that area. And I've never found anything like it again in the area. So, but I don't know where it came from, and where it came from, it had to come from a particular source. So, and I shared that. That was the second or third rendezvous I brought it out, and had a lot of people look at it, and no one had a clue. And I said, does it look familiar? It just looks like pieces of ore and all that. But it doesn't tell me I found the Lost Dutchman mine or anything connected. It's just, was this, it's an area that we do know there was some mining interest in. It went back to the Mexicans, possibly the Spanish, and it was an old trail area, high in an area that something wouldn't have been coming from somewhere else. It would have been coming from that locale, being transported out of there. Very odd, not a trail, not a normal trail, was just kind of crossed an open space. So yeah, it's a very curious one. We'll never know. Okay. Kind of went through all that. I watched an old video with Ron Feldman searching for the Lost Adams diggings. Did his sons ever pursue it further? They did a thing on what was it called? I can't remember the show. What was the name of that show? They did the show, not Ice Cold Gold. Someone help me. It's Jesse, Josh, I'm so sorry. The Lost Gold, was it just called Lost Gold? It was on Travel Channel for about 5 or 6 episodes. It wasn't there very long. They did the Lost Adams digging. Yeah, they did the Lost Adams digging one. They were in a spot that Ron really liked, and they took a backhoe and dug in a wash, dug down in this wash. And all of us thought, well, whatever was in that wash is buried at the bottom of that pile where they dug that 30-foot hole in the middle of the wash. But yeah, they did that. I think that was the spot Ron felt. But I wouldn't swear by it, because Shoes believes it's a different place, but he agrees to disagree with Ron. Bob pretty much feels he knows where the spot of the Lost Adams diggings is. He's told me his story. I wish I could get Bob to stand up and tell stories in front of an audience. He kind of shies away from it. If you're around the campfire and we're sitting around just shooting the breeze, he's really good with it. And maybe this year I'll try to get him to talk about it. But there was a spot where he felt the Lost Adams diggings were, and he's I would say he's 100% on what. And there's a private property owner there he's not been able to work with. But yeah. So that's that. So they're partners, and they got 2 different places. But I'm pretty sure Jesse and Josh were working in the vicinity or the area that Ron felt it was in. Where, what's the book? Now I'm trying to think of his book. Trevor. Hello. I saw him. It's on the Lost Adam diggings, and I can't see it from here because I got it on my books kind of go. I don't know, maybe in the order of friendships. I don't know. It's not that far down, but it's just kind of nicked away, and I can't really quite see them. And somebody will remind me of it, right? We did get lost gold. Do you know anybody that's found gold like the Dutchmans? Off and on, there's people that have shown up with stuff so that it's similar. All the gold in the Superstition Mountains is similar, everything I've ever seen. So that's one thing. Frank and I say you can determine what comes from the superstitions and what doesn't. If the Dutchman's is that much different, then it's very, very unique because everything from Hewitt and Shoes and I had this discussion too, but everything I've seen, everything Frank's seen, everything Shoes seen, we talk about it. Everything from the Black Queen, the Mammoth, down to Hewitt, anything I've found in the mountains is very, very similar. And I can usually look at it, and if there's some free gold in it, I can tell you if it's superstition related or not. It has a certain just look to it, and the eyeball test. I mean, XRF. Every time you move it and point the gun somewhere else, it's going to give you a little different reading, so it's not going to be quite that. But the eyeball test can say a lot. Now, I would think the Dutchman's gold because it's quartz and hematite and popcorn style kernels. That in itself visually would be easy, and you would be able to see. So I would think you could, and definitely it would be similar because it'd be a similar event. It all happened in. So, and there's bits and pieces. There's some fraudulent pieces. I know we recently, some people had some pieces, and we were like, that didn't come from the superstitions, and it was very, very small amounts too. But people will tout things. But I found the traces of gold and bit of gold that I've seen people pull out, and there are people that have shown gold or talked about gold and its sources. And I would say everything that I knew came out of the superstitions and whatnot is very, very similar. The things that I didn't know, couldn't confirm if they did, some of them matched, but there were pieces that didn't. And I was very surprised at looking and going, that's interesting. And then I realized that was when I was a little bit naive and didn't realize, you could just buy some pieces of gold ore because you can buy them at the gold shows and stuff. And people were just probably trying to play a game like, anybody could buy a piece of gold and say, hey, I found it. Okay. So that's, I don't know what to call you. Do we call you Taz or Bowman, or do we call you this or that and everything else? Anyways. So anyway, how do we introduce you? Because I think I always remember you when I see it. I always think Bowman. But anyways, so that's what I know is any gold I've ever found in the superstitions from anything and the number of different areas. So anything from the area of Needle Canyon has looked the same as everything that's come out of Barks Canyon. That's everything that's come out of Peters Canyon, everything that's come out of Hewitt Canyon. So I have to evolve the idea, since we're talking the events of the area and everything, it would seem very odd that it would be totally dissimilar or completely different or anything. It might look different and have a little different geological aspect to it. It doesn't have to be in the hematite or the quartz, or certain things might be different. The gold itself would look very similar. There's something about the area and the makeup of the geology, regardless, that it all looks similar. It has a certain hue and everything about it. I have pieces. Frank has pieces. And that's the one thing I can guarantee is whenever I look at something, I can see that. It doesn't take long. Frank's really good at it, and he was one of the first people that talked to me about it. And then it was, like I said, surprisingly enough, or not surprising, Shoes had the same exact opinion. And both of them can tell. And I know there's stuff that's passed off. Sometimes it's funny because I realize you can take some ore from one place in the mountains and literally put it anywhere else because it all looks very similar. So the stuff that I've seen come out of the area, let's just say in general terms of the Palmer Mine or First Water or Hackberry Mesa, and that I know actually physically came out of those areas, still matches the other stuff. So there it is. And you can believe it or not, that's fine, but that's everything I've seen. and I've seen more stuff that came out of more sources, and then I can always tell the stuff of like that doesn't fit and all. And I did get to see some stuff that came from the Vulture, and it was dissimilar and very different, and the Carefree Cave Creek area. So I saw that, and I was like, okay, I get how it's But when I was younger, I didn't see that kind of stuff. So it's always interesting how much you learn over time, and sometimes you learn a lot because you just witness it. And this is something I'll bring up now and then. Is it's right there in front of your face. I know there was someone who whenever he talks about this sort of stuff, he likes to mention how Adolf Roos, he refers to it as murder, but files at the sheriff's department were thrown out after X amount of years, which I pointed out if it was an actual murder file, it would be a cold case and it never would be thrown out. And he comes up with all these rhymes and reasons and says nobody's ever able to be looking at it. And then we never take the most obvious route because there's so many obvious things about it and things people don't know, like when they brought the remains back, the skull back, and the remains, the medical examiners and doctors at Phoenix looked at stuff. But Odd Halseth claimed that, no, it's Native American, and managed to get it away from them, claiming it couldn't have been Roos. Then once he had it, then he claimed it was Roos and sent it off to Herdlicka, and that whole drama happened. He just wanted to get a hold of, and send it to Washington, D.C. and stuff to have it looked at. But the most obvious thing is if there was ever such a file, and I don't know, you really hate to call someone on it. But one of the longtime experienced Dutch hunters happened to be the former state attorney general. So let's just say Bob Corbin never thought once to look for that file. And when you're the state attorney general, you get to look at the files, okay? You don't sit there, the county sheriff's department, the Phoenix Police Department. If he requests those files, he can get those files and see them. So you're telling me that Bob Corbin and Tom Collenborn never had the thought to go, well, let's check on the Ruth files and go down there and let's see, Bob, can you get those and stuff? And I've been told there's a file and there's certain things. It's nothing relevant or anything we care about. It's nothing historical value. It's some stuff that we all have anyway. But it's kind of funny because the obvious thing sits there in front of your face the whole time. And, nobody ever thinks about that. Yeah, Bob Corbin was the state attorney general. So why wouldn't he just go down and say, hey, guys, I want to look at that file? And if they said it wasn't there, why didn't he just have somebody go down and look for it? Yeah, that seems kind of obvious. It's the way the courts looks. Okay. So, and then we've heard, I think always the misleading stuff. It's this courts and this, and there's the stories of it being in rose quartz. God, that was for years too. I've read somewhere that some folks have questioned the matchbox being actual Dutchman's ore, and how some of it has been confirmed that it's more from actual, that it is. Okay, has it somehow been confirmed? You can't really confirm. Hello, stranger, Apache Junction. So talented. One of your problems is when they ship gold to Wells Fargo and these places, they ship gold out and they took slabs to make jewelry and stuff from. And they could have requested it be made out of certain pieces. This is how I'll work around this. They can request that it be made from certain pieces and say, we would like a tie pin, this stuff, and this stuff, some pieces made out of this, and cut slabs from this, which is what those pieces are made of. And they would have a tendency, as if they had slabs cut and they felt it looked similar enough. This is a really nice looking piece, but the slab from that isn't looking as good. They would make it from whatever. Is there a chance that the matchbox is made from something other than Dutchman ore? Absolutely, at 100%. There's always that chance because nobody has anything confirmed of being in that room when they cut those slabs and use that stuff for all the jewelry. I feel there's a little difference between the jewelry, and I've seen, is it 4 pieces, different pieces and stuff? So I don't want to get deep into it. I'm not saying it was rose quartz, and it's not saying the Dutchman's gold was rose quartz. I was saying there's different versions of what Waltz's ore looks like. But all the pieces I felt didn't eyeball match the same, and some look like more like superstition ore. That's for people to qualified test. There's people that tested all this stuff. I think it's what you're going to believe in that spot. So there you go there. But yeah, there's people that are proponents of, they believe that's what happened because it happened plenty of times. It's not something that did not happen, that different slabs were used than were requested. That did happen plenty and quite often. So we're not going to work around that and say that is an impossible task, because that was a very possible thing of those pieces, because I could see it. And I think everybody here would imagine they're looking at it and they're thinking, well, I want this piece, this ore. And the guy that's doing it is looking at, he thinks you want the best looking piece possible. And he's not looking at the relevance of the ore. Now, today you can convey that to the guy. You could go down and meet with someone and do it. This wasn't. This was written down. And yeah, I think that could be the possibility. Let's see. Hello, big stranger in the Manuscript definitely was not. Okay, it was not Rose. Or, okay. Anyways, so what we're talking about there, Rocky, shut up. All of you, three of you guys behave. But one of the things is that different versions of different books and stories, and what people would tell is people would tell different versions. So people have different theories and versions. There's the Starry Night ore, which is, I don't know if that's as common of a thought out there. There is the Starry Night ore, where it looks like stars in the night in the black rock. There is the quartz. There's the rose quartz. I supposedly, if you find rose quartz, it's going to be near an area where there's rose quartz everywhere and stuff. It's very interesting. And I will let me catch up here, and I'll tell you a very interesting story. It was not rose quartz. Why is Julia Thomas portrayed as a white woman? I don't know. That's just because they can't find an African American woman. Well, she wasn't dark. I mean, she was very, very light skinned. Let's remember that. She was a quadroon. And even the picture, you can tell she was not dark skinned. I think it's generally they don't go for, I find that puzzling too, because I'm always like, you think they would get that? That's kind of a certain aspect of the story. I don't think it's important to the overall story, but it is historical accuracy that her mother worked on a slave plantation and she grew up there. And I don't think Julia had a rough life. She seemed to be doing quite well. I think she was obviously pretty well educated. She obviously spoke German and English, and she was raised in a household where that was done as such. And so I think it was, I don't know why though they do that. Now the story I had to tell, which was about quartz, and I'm trying to remember the story now. So you got too distracted. It was trying to answer a question, and then the dog's running around here behind me. But it was about the quartz and the gold and the stuff and the Starry Night and all that. And it'll come to me. Anyways, talking about the various bits, but it was a very it was Reinhard Petrasch. So yeah, it's sad when it's inaccurate. You'd like the story to be told and unfolded the way it was. Reinhard Petrasch came back into Globe and was very excited. Remember, a lot of Petrasch's time in and out of the mountains, Petrasch was not living in Phoenix. He left Phoenix in the mid 1890s. And so he was living in Globe, and he got out, and they said he was up in the mountains, and he found this area, and he was very excited about what he was finding in the area. It was a lot of it was quartz, but it was more chalcedony. And they, a lot of people, I remember someone talking about it and saying, that was, it just shows you he was a know-nothing and didn't know what he was doing. And he had no clue or whatsoever, because he was all excited. He spent a lot of time out there in this area, and nobody was interested in going out there with him. And I thought it was an interesting story, and I kind of like, it's interesting, because you think he would have known the difference. But then I realized over time with research that he spent a lot of time after he left Phoenix, various areas, prospecting, working at a number of different mines, which a lot of people are not very aware of. So he worked, and he would have been very, very familiar over time with his brother and his father, and his own time prospecting, not just for the Dutchman. So I thought, what about the other side of things? That one of the things Waltz could have told him and Julia was about Chalcedony and stuff, and he was very excited because it was actually played into something he was told. And I always find that interesting, is people will dismiss the actual early, those people, more than anything else. They will, oh, Julia's a nutcase and Reinhardt was a know-nothing, so we have to listen to these people. Well, those people actually heard what Walt said. They were there, and they got to listen to him for a year and a half, 2 years. So that's far more relevant, because they're going to pick up on a lot of things and understand a lot of things. So I always found that funny, is, yeah, nobody wanted to, Petrasha's an idiot because look what he's looking for. Maybe we're the idiots not realizing he was on the right thread. Someone posted a video with known LBM sample. Is YouTube. Rose quartz found from the LDM, also near the Wagner. Okay, now how do you verify it's Lost Dutchman ore? I'm not trying to play devil's advocate or no, but pieces of ore, and I've seen them. I've physically held them. Some of the jewelry, some of the other work. I asked Ron. I wanted to look at it and stuff, take some pictures of it. I've gotten to hold it, look at it, see it, be around it, okay? So stating that, here's the problem. If I think they all kind of are the same, what are you calling Dutchman ore? So I've held pieces after pieces. I couldn't verify. I could hold 10 different pieces and say they don't come from the same place, and couldn't verify which one's Dutchman ore, because they don't compare to anything equally across the board of what's supposed to be Dutchman ore. So there is no piece of just rock that's Dutchman ore. If someone comes up to you and says, this is from Jacob Waltz, and this is an original piece of the Lost Dutchman mine ore, I'm thinking that person is pulling your leg. Hey, Wayne, from Ireland, there's McCracken. I had a guy in the meeting the other day. I think, well, no, he might have been Scottish. It's more of a brog, but it's always hard to tell. Okay, ever done any prospecting of the Bradshaw Mountains? Yeah, I like that. Tom thought it was pop. They enjoyed that. I think they enjoyed the trips more than anything else. It's a funny thing that year to year these guys can change their minds. I know Thomas Glover really became a proponent for that. That was the time where Tom Cullenborn and Bob Corbin, Bob was living up there, Thomas Glover, and then Joe Robato, and they were hanging out and spent a lot of time up there exploring the Billy Bueno and a bunch of different mines up there, and they were having a good old time. And then they kind of became proponents of that, and the Bradshaws and the Dutchmen and all that. And that's what that is. That was a bunch of buddies hanging around having a really good time, and they deep delved that, and then that kind of switched and changed up again. I've sat there when Tom said, I don't think there ever was a Lost Dutch mine. There was no such thing. I don't know if he really believed that in that moment, but I think you always got to give is that different times you can have different theories, different thoughts about certain things. I saw the vein. It's easy to tell the difference. Okay. So it's already dug out. Okay. So anyways, speaking of the vein dug out in certain aspects of stuff, there's supposed to be a cave, an alcove that has Spanish armor in it. And this year we might take our hike down into the area. And then once I get everybody there, spread everybody out. I have no problem with telling people when we're out there as a group, let's go look for this damn thing, what it is, because it's relevant to some other people's sites. And it was a story of someone that found some Spanish armor. And there were 2 people involved, and someone else physically saw some of it and went out and searched, and they could not find the source or area. But they were told, go see what you think, There's a lot of pieces. I think someone ended up with the hat, the helmet. And then there was another piece. I think it was an arm piece they had. It had been some sort of arm piece or something else. But they found this various pieces and stuff. And yeah, the person I talked to was pretty reputable. Had no reason to lie. They weren't necessarily a treasure hunter. And we talked about it, and I was like, oh, that's really interesting. And then we shared and talked about the site because I'd explored that area too, and I didn't know of anything like that. I was like kind of confused because I was like, that doesn't seem like the area. But yeah, a hike this year might go down into that area, and if we do that, that'll be kind of like hopefully the other person will come along, and we can talk a little about it and spend a little time searching for that. Let's see. My buddy Ted and I are going to attend the next rendezvous. There you go. Bringing a very interesting specimen. There you go. You're going to love it. It proves that some of these legends are actually true. There you go. Well, someone might have an XRF. And Dave Cook used to bring his XRF. Unfortunately, Dave's not around. But you'll have Frank and Greg, Dave, a lot of people that have checked out a lot of ore from those mountains and stuff. So you'll have a lot of people, and you'll have Shoes, and you'll have Jesse, and people that have handled a lot of different ores from the known mines of the areas and so forth, and be able to talk and go through stuff. So those specimens, there's a good cross section of people, and Woody will be there as well. So, and he's pretty good at stuff. So, have you heard from Eric, the real deal? Is he still hunting? He's prospected a few times, and you can catch him on. I think he does stuff on Facebook and stuff, but I don't hear from him as much as I did. He got busy, bought a new house, they moved. There was a lot going on. So I know I did the thing and the videos with him, and then thank you for reminding me, because I usually every 6 months at least, if I don't hear from him for a while, I make sure I make a call. But it's always that problem of how many people do you know and how many people do you associate with, and then you run into the problem of you got to remember when you call. And I have that problem with my own brothers. So it's like trying to run through and call and time it right from everybody where they live, time and place. And then you're telling yourself, yeah, I got to make a call, or whose turn it is to call each other, right? So we run into that. And so I have to kind of like dive into that and kind of remember, okay, because I talk to my brothers mostly. I got a sister I talk to, but yeah, mostly I talk to my brothers. And I don't know why. It's always been easier talking with them on the phone and stuff. So, but like I said, it's always that problem of like, and Derek DeLeo's a bit like another little brother, but it's just, you got to remind yourself. And then when you remind yourself, the day goes by and things happen and you go, oh crap, I meant to call him. So thank you for reminding me. I do have to remember. I haven't heard anything text or anything. I hear from Magnuson the least. Magnuson's like a ghost once in a blue moon. I haven't even seen him on social media much, but yeah, I'd see what he's doing. Happy, married, kid, everything's good. So, and I see stuff from DeLeo pretty frequent and know where he's at and what's going on and how he's doing in life. So I'm usually just kind of like on, and once in a while I call up and know it's usually in the afternoon when I know we both finished work and he's driving home or just finished, and we just talk for a while just to kind of what each of us is doing and what we're up to. And I always tell him, we're waiting for him to make another visit. It would be nice to, to see another visit. So there we go. 10-4, this, that, and everything else. Track me down at the rendezvous. I've got a good amount of work at the salt. Okay. And from Eric, and that was it. And him and his buddy Ted. So that was, his real name is Reptwar Bensky. Is that really a real name? Why do people do that? My name's Wayne Tuttle. Even though I did use Zental, and I still use Zental on a lot of stuff, but why do people have those miscellaneous little names and stuff? Zental goes way, way, way back. 25 years ago, 30 years ago, it goes way back. But yeah, but I always find that as people come in, and then I find out people are different names and stuff. And it's funny when it's someone's Bob Smith, and then you find out, no, my name's really Ricky. And it's like, oh, okay. Good to know. No, I'm looking forward to see everybody at the rendezvous and everything going on, and how everybody's doing. I'm hoping this year, I told Trevor, we're really going to try to sit down and kind of slow things down a bit for us, because it's usually a lot of scramble. Like I said, I'm hoping I'm there earlier than normal and got my stuff set up. So I'm just kind of chilling going into Saturday, and then we plan everything out really well. And this is definitely a test for next year, which would be the 20th anniversary. So that would be a big deal as well. So it's all that, trying to kind of get everything set up. And I know we have new mics and equipment and some new stuff. We have to, here in the next couple of weeks, break it out of the boxes and test run it. Make sure we got all the parts and everything, because that always is a problem, right? We get there and we don't have the right cables or parts. But we've had that problem with it a few times. But make sure we got everything and start getting everything kind of stacked and sectioned off. Because, like I said, this room is just full of so many things all over the place, just sitting in. It's all loose. But we did get new microphones and everything. I think I'm pretty sure the new microphones, and I can't see the box, but I'm pretty sure we got everything hands-free this year. So we can kind of set everything up so people don't have to, or they're definitely wireless. But I thought we got hands-free this time to try to allow, because Jack likes to talk with his hand. There's a lot of guys that like to talk with their hands, and it'd be cool to get that set up. And there's a couple other things. Of course, we got the projector with the screen and everything there. So that's always cool, and we'll work with that. But yeah, kind of running it down because it's not pizza night. I think it's pork chops. So there you go. But I do have half a sub sandwich too, so I'm looking forward to getting into it later. The new 4K has been looking great. Thank you. That's all, Trevor. He just wanted to start using the 4K stuff and doing that. I worry about the aging process, because what we see and then what we use in a phone or camera and how things look. And you got to remember, right now with the sun on me, and it's because we're isolated to ourselves, not with other people for definition and comparison. So nobody has a comparative value of everything in the room with me and me, because you don't have another person here looking at a person. And I've always found it interesting as I've went through pictures. Someone just recently sent me a picture at a Rendezvous, and it shows me sitting there on a bench with other people around me. And it's, again, I always get kind of puzzled. It's like, we do all these videos. I see the videos and bits and pieces. I see the pictures and the profile pictures and stuff. And then I see that there, and I'm the darkest person in the room. And I'm like, how come I look so pale in the videos and everything else? And it's a comparative thing. But then again, how pale would everybody else look in that respect if I had them in there, I guess? But yeah, that's the thing I worry about the 4Ks and a lot of this stuff is it doesn't show things like what you think you see. And sometimes, people say, oh, you're looking really good. And, your color, and you're done you're doing really good. And the whole thing is, I just didn't get off work. You caught us out here and we're doing this. I'm out in the sunshine. You're catching me. It's definitely apples to steak at that point. So it's very irrelevant, because what you're seeing that Trevor films, even though he's doing an excellent job and stuff. So I was really worried with the 4K, but I think it actually looks better. It actually kind of makes me feel like, okay, that actually kind of is more reminiscent of myself. All right. So did you ever wonder why Walt said the vein was he said 18 inches, and the vein is not like any other vein there. It runs vertical, not horizontal. Most of the veins I've seen out there, I've seen a lot of chimneys that run vertical anyways. He said 18 inches and hematite in quartz. It's locked in there. It's popcorn kernels that run through it. And he said the main thing about it was he'd never seen so much gold running through that vein. It's not 18 inches of gold. It's the vein where it's in the rock is embedded, and you have the hematite that comes in, locks into the quartz, and then in the quartz and mixture, you'll have the gold that ran through that. And I've seen some similar stuff. I saw one, I won't say where, I don't want to cause any problems for the people, but it is a mine that they were working in, and it was a little similar, the vein, but no, I've seen vertical veins in the Superstitions. There's a lot of chimney mines. I don't know. I think what happens is when people don't catch the chimney, they don't realize it's a man-made chimney. There's a couple mines back in there by Second Water, and there's some chimney mines, and it's really interesting because people just generally don't realize they're looking at an open chimney mine, and there's a vertical vein in there. So it does happen. We'll just come to the Rendezvous. You've been at the Rendezvous, and you've looked up the Dayside Cliffs and seen the veins and the incursions in that, and they run vertical. So, Wayne, you should do a show where you travel around as a host and check out different legends. And yeah, they want me to do one of those. More Jill with you, the host, and maybe special just a bit more time. Just a day or two, not enough time. Did you like the Gold Rush show? I don't watch Gold Rush just because I don't watch a lot of TV. I watch certain specific things. I watch shows, and I feel bad for saying this because I know Casey, and I know he was doing Dave Turn's Lost Mine and a couple things. I tend to watch what I'm kind of entertained by and interested in. And Gold Rush never grabbed me. I liked Tony Beats a bit, and when they were, when he was, the Dredge thing was going on, I watched it for a while on that. And then I heard a lot about a lot of the guys and stuff, and because the inside always changes it makes it difficult to watch some. But I'll watch certain shows because I'm entertained by them more than anything else. It's not that I believe in them. I also understand the production and everything behind the scenes, because when you know and you get a lot of information, it changes your whole aspect of viewing. Some of them I watch in support of people and stuff. Gold Rush comes on, usually, isn't it Fridays? And usually on Fridays is not much of a TV night for me. I'm not paying much attention to the TV. So there's certain times it's like I always liked the fact that on Tuesday nights is when they run stuff like Oak Island and Skinwalker Ranch and certain history run certain programs, because that's a night of the week. There's no football ever. There's not really much going on Tuesday, but it's kind of like you're getting into the work week. And that's a night I'll sit down and watch TV. But yeah, I put the TV on for noise or a picture and play guitar or something else. But I don't, as much as I sometimes think I watch TV, I don't watch much TV. So, and I do watch and try to keep an eye on those shows. But like I said, I hear and run into people, and I hear so much of the backstory and stuff. Sometimes I know what's happening in the season before that happens. And I tend to kind of just go slash it off, and just think, okay, good for them. Always good that they're doing that. But the treasure shows thing, which I'll come back to in a second, also one of that names, something that size could have stayed lost forever. Oh, it could if you buried it. There's plenty of bodies out there that can stay lost forever. Even had people follow me into the mountains. The hematite, Hemantite, hematite. Is out in the outer edges. Well, of course. And Shelby the Swamp Man has always been one of my favorite. Yeah, man, I don't give, one of my shows that I found was fascinating for me to watch was Mountain Monsters, because how is a show with that least amount of talent, a bunch of fat rednecks that absolutely is absolutely BS, that's totally contrived, badly acted, badly filmed, everything about it is a joke. And it ran for like 8-9 seasons. And it's not even that entertaining. I can watch that fascinated because I'm not a fan. Just fascinated by how the hell did they get away with that crap? Because most of us could never get away with that for a second. Anyways, the show, there was and I don't know. We're supposed to revisit next year, so I won't hear much about it until next year. But they approached me for a program, and I don't know if it's with Discovery or History. I'm trying to remember who was it that but anyways, it was a similar thing. I kind of talked to them. I don't think it's quite the Josh Gates thing. It's a show where, and I talked to them and said I would be interested in something that's Southwest oriented, that covers a number of different legends and stories, but kind of a little more deeper to it, and sometimes revealing kind of the truth, like we've done in Chasing Legends, like the Apache Death Cave and some of the stories about that stuff, and revealing things behind the legends. I think that would be interesting, and we talked about it. They kind of dug the personality of the voice and stuff. They liked the Chasing Legends stuff, and that's kind of, I think, what they wanted to expand on. So we talked about it, and then I kind of cleared the one person I really, because I talked to him the most, was Frank, and saying, hey, they are interested. So I don't want to always be the bummer about anything else happening we could all do together or anything in that relevance. But if they offer this, I'm thinking about maybe doing it if they're going to bring up a season or two, because it would be kind of fun to host something like that. It would be definitely more relaxing. And I do like the historical perspectives of other things. And now that I own a ton of treasure hunting files, and you would not believe the amount of material I have, it would be kind of cool to go that route a little, not so much give up on the Dutchman, but to be able to kind of do something like that where you're kind of pushing the educational thing. I like those shows. I like the I worked on it, but the Lawrence Fishburne show, I like that. The Shatner one is pretty good sometimes, but I like Josh Gates. I like those kind of shows. So because I like those and kind of get into those a bit, I thought that would be kind of cool someday if I ever got a chance to work with those guys or on something. And then someone came to me and said, "Hey," and they actually interviewed several people, and then they came to me several times asking me that they wanted to put my name in. And I said, "Oh, you want to interview me?" No, no, we want to put you in there as one of the people. And I'm like, So it wasn't, it was kind of an odd thing. Like they really wanted me to do it, but then they told me straight up front is like it's going to be a while because we're not going to start the next. We're going to get everything put in line, and we'll communicate with you occasionally. They're very nice people. We'll see what happens with that. And that's so far off because if they're not even talking, we would start pre-production until next year. It means we're not going to be filming until much, much later than that. So yeah, it's probably something they're working at in late 2024, 2025. And who knows the particulars till you get there. But it is interesting because yes, I'm always kind of like that stuff. And that was one of the pitches I made for Legends was I think it was Discovery, that a production company working with them when we was talking to me, and I said, why don't we take Legends and kind of do a piece where me and Frank sit down and then we talk to someone about something, and maybe it's Jack San Felice, and we do this thing like in a little like Chasing Legends and a little like that, but then we Delil and Magnuson or whatever, Woody's with us this time, and we go out and explore the legend. So it's partially in. And I told them my idea for the show, and I don't know if I'm wrong, but I said people like cliffhangers. They like something that moves forward. So I said every episode should be 2 shows. So it should be, if it was on every Monday night, let's say you do it and then you have a break at where you're out exploring, and then you wrap everything up on the next show. So each week you have to want to watch the other show. I thought that was a much better idea than these little encapsulated, let's basically say without commercials, 42 minutes. So 42 minutes, how much, you ever notice how many of those shows, they wrap it up in 2 minutes? Like it's dizzy to go to the end. Like, oh, we went all this way and there's nothing. We're just going to wrap it up at the end. I said, yeah, it'd be much better to let it breathe. Have a little bit of a cliffhanger so people come back the next week. And if they're good, interesting stories, and we're doing it right. They liked the idea, and I don't know why it never went any further. This is about 5-6 years ago or so. But I did pitch the idea, and it was like, and I thought we can really kind of like, and I gave them ideas, and we talked about it. Never got off the ground any further than that. And I told them, hey, if you guys want to do it, let me know. And maybe. And there's been nothing quite like that delivered. It wasn't, but yeah, just imagine we're going to do the Lost Atoms digging, but it's going to take 2 42-minute shows. And there's going to be something in the middle as we kind of move it. I just thought it was a great way to do it. So to split those shows like that. Okay. Let's see. Monster's so bad it was good. Yes. It has not been found as the vein runs vertical, but 400 and 1400. Okay. That would be so badass. I just like that you don't BS and go along with the fake stuff. Yeah, but that's also a problem. So, here's one for you. Let's see if we can do this right now. Sometime there are a lot of people that think these things are real. I don't know how to do it. I don't know if anybody can see it. Well, I can kind of see it in the screen. See that? And you know what this is, right? That's that little ghost hunting thing that they use all the time that shows the stick figure guy and all this stuff. You know why the stick figure guy is showing up here and stuff. Well, you can do that because basically all that stuff, the way it operates and stuff, anything reflective, anything with electronics, anything like that, it basically, I should film, and we should do an episode on that, of some of their ghost hunting tools of how, yeah, every shampoo bottle is a ghost figure. And it's doing all kinds of stuff. And it's a shampoo bottle. I'm sorry. And everybody can try to explain away that crap bullshit. So, but they don't like that. I like the humor in it of going, okay, you know what? This doesn't really work. It's fun. It's cool to kind of say that's what this is. And, the ghost box does this and this and this. And it's like, okay. And then you basically use the stuff yourself. And that was where the bottom fell out of us doing, let's do a joint show where you guys do your thing. We use the same equipment, and let's do it together and see if we have matching results. And every group said, nah, we don't want to film that. So that went a long way to me. It's like, okay, yeah, it'd be cool. I want a job on a monster quest. Yeah, that'd be fun to do that. So does Benning with a big channel. So does Bean with a big channel production like History or Discovery help you get across certain sites or properties? No, it's actually the attachment to this Historical Society, the museum, and other things. It does a little. I got invites and got to see and get some stories and go see some cool sites because of what I did and who I am. So stay safe, buddy, and stay healthy, okay? Because it seems like you're doing good. You thought you're going to fall away from us. So good. Stay healthy, man. But it definitely there's advantages, disadvantages, but most of the time, the coolest stuff comes from people understanding that who I work with, who I know, and things off associated. A lot of people would just associate me with the History Channel and Discovery and stuff. Once they dig deeper in the background and understand who I really am, then they're very interested in it. Now that changes. I think on the surface, they think, oh, you're just some guy that did this for TV. Yeah, they gave you that truck to drive and they did this and they bought you that hat and stuff and all that. They really think all that. Everything I wore on the show, the truck I drove, all that's me. So I think it's kind of funny that people thought that was a character. The character was me. And Randy Wright would be the first one to say, yeah, he can be like that. That's him being a little like tired of everybody's business. It's like, yeah, a bit of an asshole. But in a sense of humor, because there's a lot of laughs involved. The humor part of it did not come out through the show because I was not very happy humored. But no, it opens doors to some extent. I think people are very welcoming. It's got me my share of free meals, plenty of good stories and stuff. But I think as far as some of the coolest sites and the stuff I get to see, it comes more from other things around. And like I said, once people go, oh, you're the guy from the History Channel, and then they go like, oh crap, man. It's like when people go out there and like in Reddit and stuff, and they'll say something like, oh, this is all fake, and these guys are all fake bullshit, and blah, blah, blah. And oh, you do this. Nobody walks in the mountains wearing tennis shoes. Nobody wears a black hat. They have sweat stains, and it's all fake, and it's all bullshit. And then actually, my friends come to them and they're like, "What are you talking about, dude? That's exactly how he is." I still have the original guano hat out in the garage. I had it dry cleaned. It never had sweat stains. None of the black hats have ever really had sweat stains. I've sweat plenty. I just don't sweat salt like that. It was not on my shirts. I sweat. You could see me in the show sweating profusely. Guess what? There was no sweat stains to this day on any of those shirts, and I have some of the original shirts. None of them stained from it. So, yeah, cry me a river, man. It's just different people are different ways, but people have a tendency to want to speak out like that. And there was just an argument on one of the last videos, a guy that had to harp about the fact that how it was like he might be older than me, but we've been in the mountains the same amount of time and everything. And I find it a bit humorous, kind of like off-putting of like, oh, so your 50 years is different than the 50 years I've spent in the mountains now. Okay, fine, whatever. I mean, whatever the challenge. And I'm used to the tennis shoe thing. I mean, History Channel, everybody just could not understand that I wear tennis shoes in the mountains. And then people see me in the mountains and tell me, there's nothing better than you're walking. I'm back deep in the mountains, and someone goes, "Oh, you're not going to get very far in those tennis shoes." And I'm just thinking, man, what is it with people giving a crap about my footwear? I'm sorry, man. Oh, you get the one about the guns occasionally and this and that. Why do you need a gun? Well, when I need a gun, I need a gun. And if you're with me and I need a gun, then we both needed the gun, and we'll be lucky and fortunate that I have a gun. Anyhow, so I'm going to get ready to wrap up here because I hear plates going on a table. Maybe people come to you with opportunities and potential places to search. Some of that happens, a little bit of it, because from online. And people kind of trust, but then they'll see they should give you more freedom to write for the show. This last group, and we will get into that because we will do a Chasing Legends or something broader on it as we get closer to history's greatest mysteries, because there's a lot I had to say and I videoed and kind of got depth of that. But definitely one of the things that happens is people are very surprised at how much of hands off is like, I just tell them and I give them advice and I tell them how to be safe and how to stay in contact and to make it the safest trip possible. And use someone like me or Frank or Shoes to make sure that they come out safely and everything is good and proper. I mean, that's very, very, very important. So I think people are surprised at how much is I'm cool with you and your thing, and I'm cool with me and my thing. And, if the two things don't cross or whatever, that's fine. And if you become successful, I don't have hard feelings about it. It's my loss, but I'm not that worried about it because I think I'm on the right path of where I'm at. And I always give good advice. I mean, I think people take it as criticism. I wouldn't do it. So I always try to give the best advice of the truth as the best as I know it, not what my perception of it is or what my ideology on it is. I try to give the truth the way I've researched it and the way it is black and white to me. So because of that, and having no filter for that and trying to go out and tell people that, I think it makes me sometimes unpopular with certain people, but I think it's necessary. So it's one of the reasons I have a tough time with television. The last couple of groups really dug that aspect of me, but it can be very, very difficult to work around the fact that I'm like, that's total BS and I'm not going to talk about it. And they're very surprised when they find that out. Is there certain things I'm like, I like the guys and I like this guy, but I'm not going to talk about that because I like it. I like him. I think the total idea is he's wasting his time. He can end up killing himself. I think, I don't know where his brains are at with this. So I'm not going to talk bad about him. And, I'll cover the mic and tap the mic while I do it, so they can't use anything. But I make sure that I'm careful on that because I'm not out there to criticize people. I'm not out there to admonish people or say, oh, no, my book's the best. Oh, no, my book's the best. Oh, I'm revealing the deep, dark secret. I just try to state what I know and what I've researched, and that's sometimes common sense. All right. So, and I did get to write quite a bit for History Channel this time and still working with some of the people on some other programs. Used to not wear shoes at all. I know, that's what I'm thinking. You got people wear moccasins, and you had the Mexicans up there in sandals. Was it yucca sandals and all? And I'm wearing a good pair of high tops, and people are like, "Oh, what are you wearing? You're gonna kill yourself." Okay, enjoy it. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the chops. Just getting back to it. Missed a few lives. Yeah, if you catch him, you'll hear that Trevor was talking about a trip to Ireland. So I think I can't remember the towns, but I know Dublin was in there. I wanted to go to see the Phil Lynott statue down in Dublin. I know it's really weird of all this stuff. I want to go, and it's like no, I want to see the Phil Lynott Thin Lizzy statue. Phil Lynott down in Dublin. Man, that'd be cool to get a picture with that. So I'm always kind of odd, irrational things that people go, well, why would you go all the way to do that? Well, that's kind of the thing. It'd be cool. I think it'd be really cool. But I know the trip is Ireland, Scotland, and I think it ends up in Cornwall. It ends up like Stonehenge or something. Anyways, we talked about it on a live. You'll catch it if you catch them up. You're at least honest man. I'm not always an honest man, but I try to speak honestly on everything as I possibly can without hurting feelings. Have an awesome weekend. Yes, everybody have an awesome weekend. Have a great time. I hear silverware moving now. So when you hear silverware, and you've noticed the dogs have utterly disappeared because once things are moving in the kitchen, the dogs completely lose their loyalty to me. They know there is cooking going on. They know there's scraps. So there's not a dog in sight. Well, there is. Jax. And he won't move. See? So normally he'd be running into me or to see me as soon as I said his name lightly. Anyways, Trevor didn't even pop in to tuck his head around the corner and say hello. So, hey, hell with him. Yeah, the legend statue somewhere. My uncle got it. Cool. Trevor, enjoy the Ireland trip. Yeah, I think that's 2025 or something. So when he's talking about it. But yeah, he's trying to, we talked about it and I touched upon it. And I was like, oh, man, Edinburgh and all this, man, it sounds fun. Dublin to Edinburgh and, Stirling Castle. And I'm like, man, I'm starting to kind of think this might be kind of fun. Maybe I need to quit paying for his trips and send myself somewhere. Yeah. So that'd be a good Legends, right? Chasing Legends. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if Ireland, Scotland, England, Wales. Oh, they go to Wales too. So I was like, man, that's just so cool. Country where people speak absolute gibberish and it's weird consonants and stuff, and where I don't quite understand how you say words, but cool. I know it's like D's or TH or something. I don't know, whatever. Anyways, I'm not going to get into that. Anyways, thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you for kind of doing the live. We'll probably be back again next week because I don't think Trevor's going to get on anything archived, and we'll probably save it up till we get close to the rendezvous. So I'm going to go grab my dinner. I hope everybody has a great, wonderful weekend, enjoys the weather. I hope you're having good weather wherever you are and having good luck. Hope your pans are heavy after you've washed them out. And hope everybody's finding a little gold and stuff and everybody's well. Remember to catch us on Chasing Legends on Monday. Pick up Jack's new book, please. Help him sell out that sucker. Just enough so he doesn't have to print anymore. Let's get those books sold out for him. Really looking forward to the Spanish Fortress location update. Okay. Oh, you're talking about the one up on the ridge. I don't know which one we're talking because there's two different ones people talk about. There's Tom Collenborn's story and another story. We'll have to get to that. Remind me of it and all that. Checking in too late, I guess. Yeah. Just stepped through the door just to shake everybody's hand as they were going out and high five everybody. That happens. It's happened to us all, right? When we go in and we go, oh, it's over? Huh, okay. And I wish I could tell you it's like a movie theater. You could just sit around and just kind of sit down. Well, it is. As soon as I'm done here, it's going to load itself back up and you can watch it from the beginning. And watch me and Glenn start the show by ourselves when it started earlier than I thought. There you go. On the ridge. Yes. Yeah, I really want to get up there. That is one of the possibilities I thought about doing this year. And that's something we want to film. There's like 4 or 5 things we want to go out and film that follow up Chasing Legends stories. And I thought about doing that for Legends episodes this year, doing full bound of us searching and trying to relocate some of these places because time's short. Life doesn't go on forever. And it would be cool to relocate and see this stuff again. So there you go. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for clarifying. Everybody have a wonderful weekend. Have a good time. And I'm done. Legends Live out. Have a great weekend. We'll catch you later.